again, in this lesson we're going to have a look at stage 2, selective reabsorption in the PCT, or the proximal convoluted tubule. I'll leave you to find out spelling the full name of that. So that's this part here. In the first video we were looking at ultrafiltration, and we talked about that happening here between the glomerulus and the renal capsule. We filter, or we produce, around 180 litres of filtrate every single day, which is several times more than the entire volume of our body. So 180 litres is a lot, but of course we don't pee that much. We only actually produce on average around 1.5 litres of urine. So 180 litres filtered, but only 1.5 of urine actually produced. So what happens to that other 178.5 litres of liquid? The answer is selective reabsorption. So like I said, most of the selective reabsorption happens in the proximal convoluted tubule, this twisty section here before the loop of Henle. Later on you'll get some selective reabsorption happening in the distal convoluted tubule, but most of it is done right here. So the next question is, what gets reabsorbed? So glucose is all reabsorbed, all of the amino acids are reabsorbed. Most of your salts are reabsorbed, most of the water, and most of the minerals as well. How does this happen? Well, we're going to have a look at the cross-section of a PCT to find out a little bit more. Here you can see the cells. These are the epithelial cells inside the wall of the PCT. This is the lumen. This is where your filtrate currently is, and it needs to get out through your cells and out beyond your tubule to get reabsorbed back into here, which is the peritubular capillaries. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that process. Firstly, you can see, you can note that the epithelial cells are folded into villi, and as you know, whenever we have villi, it increases the surface area, or microvilli actually, it increases the surface area for reabsorption. You can also see the presence of these things here, the mitochondria, and we also know wherever we have mitochondria, we need ATP. ATP transports active transports. Okay. This is very similar setup actually as the small intestine. So we had the last topic we were looking at transport in the small intestine. It's a very, very similar process that's happening here. All right, let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail. So if this is the lumen, which is where our filtrate currently is, we are going to start with active transport, which I've done in black. Now we're going to start with the Na+ or sodium ion. The sodium ion is actively transported out of the cell. It needs a protein pump, and we are familiar with the other thing that comes in, which is K+. So the sodium potassium pump actively transports sodium out to generate a low concentration of Na+ in here. The thing that will follow will be Cl-. So Cl- or chloride ions will follow the Na+. Why do we have to have a low concentration of sodium ions in there? And that's to do with the glucose and amino acids. So generating a low concentration of Na+ there, that will cause Na+ from inside the lumen to diffuse via facilitated diffusion via a protein in the membrane. At the same time, both glucose and or amino acids can also be co-transported into the epithelial cell. Okay, so glucose and amino acids kind of hitch a ride off Na+, and to get inside in here, and then both of those will facilitatedly diffuse out and into the blood eventually, which is like I said, the peritubular capillaries. Water will be simple H2O, the osmosis, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So by the end of all of this, we will have reabsorbed all of the glucose and amino acids. we will have, and remember that 5.5 kilograms of glucose are filtered, are taken out, are in the filtrate to start with. So all of those 5.5 kilos of glucose are reabsorbed. Most of the salt will be reabsorbed as well. Again, we filter around 1.5 kilos of it, so most of that will be reabsorbed as well. We reabsorb around 80% of the H2O and mineral ions, so your sodium, chloride ions, magnesium, calcium, all those mineral ions. Most of those, again, by the end of that section there, are reabsorbed.